Game 3 of 31. I feel like I should stop saying of 31 because it's just so daunting that there are so many games to look at. But yeah. Okay. Yes. Welcome to game 3 of the Scrabble Players Championship in Baltimore. I'm playing Andy Hoang. I had played Andy a couple weeks back at the Word Cup, and he beat me. Pretty nice game, a close game. And yeah, I was ready to avenge my loss from the previous tournament. And I felt confident considering that I saw from the adjacent board that FAM was on the board in Andy's previous game. So I felt confident in my word knowledge against his. Even though I know he knows the high probability words pretty well. But yeah, very good start opening with Amniote. Andy plays Pax for 49, good comeback. And I get to play a fun word here of ARG for 22. When I could have played Hard or Harl, making Hex. I think I like my play better without really opening the board. The problem with not playing here is that it allows future overlaps with Eta or Uta. So some high scoring plays could happen on the G column. So yeah, it makes sense to get rid of this scoring spot. As you can see, opponent next turn scoring more after the plays here because I'm opening bingo lanes. But I'm willing to believe that his non-bingo plays score more after ARG. So, yeah, close. Maybe playing at G9. It's just not my style. To do something like this, keep 3 consonants, open the board, keep the G. And yeah, he held ARG for a while. And this is my first instance of, okay, great. Oh, I didn't show you guys the numbers. Sorry, I didn't have the details box here. But as you can see, average score next turn, like 45 after hard, 44 after Harl, 41 after ARG, something like that. But a lot higher bingo percentage, which influences the average score. But yeah, this is the first instance of me confirming that I felt confident word knowledge wise against Andy. But yes, he played. Here he played. What? How is that even possible? That's not. What? How did I not see this play? Okay. He played Shed for 44. I was like, how could he have done that? But yeah, this is the sort of play that I don't like. This is the sort of reason you'd want to play in this spot, is overlapping plays like that really don't give me any information. Like Andy could very well have a second S. He could have good letters. He could have really bad letters. It gives me no information and scores really well. And now the score is close. I'm only up 3. And yeah, still feeling okay. Here I played yodeled with Dexy, keeping an A. And I had the word goatedly lined up, but I was really unsure of it. And I'm really worried that it's a word because I haven't looked at this game yet. But um, I didn't play it. I wrote down that I was 40% on its validity. And I felt like Andy was going to challenge 100% of the time. But yeah, it turns out it's not a word. Lucky for me. But yeah, I could play Yod and I could play Yodeled. I decided to take the points, not create any S hooks. And this board wasn't good for bingos, so the bingo leaves um, are nullified if they don't contain like an S on them. So here, Andy played Tinted. Could be big on row 5. Oh, interesting. With Ashed. Okay, I'll give the play a look. Put it back to this. Yeah, I'll give the play a little sim. You might be right that because of Ashed, I could get some big plays, like some double doubles even that aren't even bingos with Ashed. So the ADEL leave isn't as bad as it might seem. Yeah, that's an interesting point by Chalcedonics. I'm glad when people stop me in my analysis because I definitely didn't get to where I am in terms of Scrabble ability by analyzing games on my own and deciding for myself what the best strategy was and positionally what I should do. It was because I had so many people, such as Chalcedonics, in my circles that were willing to discuss any and all Scrabble positions that had any merit to them. So yeah, it seems really close between the two plays. And here I missed the word maglev. Very nice. That could be a good play. I played Clave. I could also play Kalev. And maglev could be a good play. Yes, Chris donates a lot. For those watching on YouTube, I played in a one-day tournament this past weekend. I'm not showing that tournament here. This is still a 2-month-old tournament. But it was world ranked. So I have a world ranking now. And it is 69th in the world, which, by the way, is not very good. I don't know if I'm necessarily better than that in the Collins lexicon, but I would sure hope so. But very happy to be in 69th place. So yeah, maglev is a miss. Very tough word. It does the same thing as clave, basically. Opens a triple, balances, and scores, but it scores 2 more, and the CE is pretty much equivalent to the ME. So yeah, it seems pretty close between the two. So I played clave, or clave, and Andy responded with SIGs. And yeah, at this point I figured that he has another S. And I was still already prepared to play the word that I ended up playing in this position. And yeah, I have the word earldom on my rack. It doesn't fit anywhere. And yeah, I couldn't find any valid bingos here. Close to homeland with the H. But I saw that I had this very plausible word that I've actually gotten away with against Jason Lee, who is a better player than Andy, and has studied his words at least as well as Andy has. And so I thought that in this position, that I should phony. And so I played the word glamoured, which of course doesn't appear on here because it's not a word. It resembles the word clamored. It resembles the word be glamour. And to me, it just still looks like a word, even though I was 100% sure it was not a valid word. So I decided in this position that this was a very good phony to try, since it was early in the tournament and winning by a lot was preferred than winning by a little. And so making purposefully worse plays than optimal is absolutely called for when you're playing people that you have a large advantage over. But yeah, it's good with the U. It's good with the U and not with an O. So that even adds to it, that it's a verb with the British spelling. So I played it, and to my surprise, Andy challenged the playoff, which we didn't even go to the challenge computer for this because I knew it wasn't a word. So I took it off the board, which is not something you see every day. Usually when a challenge happens, you go to the challenge computer and adjudicate. But in this position, since I was 100% sure I'd phonied and he challenged, I was just like, good challenge. And I was like, okay, well, I guess my gambit didn't work out. That's fine. But then Andy played Sunniest for 77, and I slowly started to immensely regret my decision of phoning because this is his only bingo. If I'd made just a normal play of I would probably play something like Tamed in this position, score some points and block this S. I would be in commanding position, and he wouldn't have bingoed. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Still got to keep playing. And I decided to play Am for 23 to set up a bingo threat on the D column. I can do other things here. I could just play Earldom for 29. But yeah, I wanted to play in this spot so that if he drew the Q, he didn't have a perfect spot for it. To leave part of the board alive and admit that I am now in worse position than Andy is. But yeah, there are other plays I can make here for sure. So I played AM for 23. Where is it? Here. And I can actually... No, it's fine. Yeah, I play AM. And Andy dumps his stuff with foo. But he actually scores this as... Oh, okay, sorry. He did have other bingos in this position. Because never mind my analysis. He had it was a blank S. My bad. But even after Tamed, I would still be in a decent position because I'd be blocking his best bingo. Was my point. Here he plays foo for 30. And I miss my bingo. And I play Dole, keeping OERS. So yeah, this rack kind of sucks. There's nowhere to score. So I decided to just play Dole and again hope to potentially hit the D column and maybe some other spots on the board. But I might not want to do this. I might want to do something more proactive. I just couldn't really see anything fantastic here. Any ideas are definitely welcome here. I could do something like ode. I don't really know. Yeah, I just couldn't find anything that didn't open up like a huge spot, but kept the board open. Like I could do something like load, like ode here. I don't know. I played Dole. Score's still somewhat close. And Andy plays Briar for 20, sort of interfering. So just fishing. Yeah, just fishing the O maybe. Okay, let's look at that. Thank you, Chalcedonics. Fishing the O here rather than here because this creates a line on the end column. How often does that work? Pretty often. Works pretty often. Okay, I hit a bingo 70%. That's pretty good. But yeah, the problem, I guess the problem with this sort of play is that, I mean, A, it doesn't score very well. I'm down 43. I'll be down 38. If he scores anything, it's going to be close after I bingo. The other issue is if Andy does something like Briar to kind of interfere with the column, the D column that I'm trying to hit, then a bingo on the end column is going to give back a lot of nasty comeback plays. Yeah, that's a good idea. See you, Lola. This sort of play I felt like was a bit too desperate, maybe, in the position, but it's possible I didn't understand how desperate the position was. But after this draw, I realized that I'm in big trouble. So I play OE. I could probably afford to play Olio here. That might be a better play. I played OE. Similar idea to Ho, but like, I don't really want a bingo on the end column. I was just scoring some points and keeping a good leave. The problem is that leave doesn't hit the D column very often now that he's played Briar. I have to end in a vowel or a Y. But yeah, I think Olio is probably best here. I don't know if I saw it. The problem with any other play is just that, yeah, like the lanes suck. So, and I now need to bingo because I'm not drawing into any scoring tiles. Yeah. So, I mean, I did the same thing as was recommended to do last turn. I could even play O here, or OE, however you pronounce the word, to try and set up the triple, which sacrifices 8 points. And there is one S left that he could maybe have, and underlapping plays do a pretty good job of defending the spot. But yeah, I think I should have played Olio. I don't think I saw it. So OE comes down, not this one, this one, and gives him cop for 30, which I was starting to realize my fate here. I draw the Z, and I play Dozer to try and set up an S hook. Now that I'm down 72, it's just not sufficient to just bingo. So sort of desperation mode at this point. And the game ends after this play of Intercom by Andy. Very nice find for 76. And now it's just like over. Down over 100. And I have this rack. So I could take the Dozer spot now, but once he blocks the triple, it's very hard to imagine winning. So I play was, trying to bingo soon. and trying to block some scoring plays through the Z maybe. And here Andy makes the play of B. Unwily, yeah. So Andy makes the play of B, and my draw is JQ. So here, here I noticed something interesting. So Andy's trying to block triple triples with his play of V, but the problem with that is that triple triples can still fit. They're just a lot less likely, and they may also not be bingos. So this is a sort of thing that intermediate players often do, where they see a threat and they address it, but sort of they think they've addressed it more thoroughly than they actually have. And again, I'm not saying, I mean, based on what happened in the game, I think this is what happened, but I'm not saying that necessarily if you make a play like this, it's wrong. However, it does create some perpetual threats that you're gonna have to think about. Because now if I just triple, I might actually just come back. And we have this big problem here with dozers still. So I have this rack, and I'm thinking about all this, and I'm just like, well, like, can I really just not, like, play Jenny? Like, can I really just forego this play that is so much better than any other play? Like, how often am I ever winning this game in any case? But I decided to make an incredibly weird play here of exchanging QY, and then I exchanged the N because I just sort of spaced out. But the what Jelamoka says is going for Jubilant is definitely a good idea. So I'm actually going to put in exchanging QYS and exchanging QY here to see how often next turn I hit this play that I'm going for. But yeah, exchanging QYS is probably the best play. But Sibilant is only 90 points. Chalcedonics. I'm down 108. I need more than 90 points in this position. So yeah, I'm extremely desperate here, and I actually should have exchanged my S. For some reason, I exchanged my N instead. I did see that I could draw into, like, Jubilate. If I draw UAE or UA blank or something, I could hit Jubilate. But that was my game plan for the rest of the game, was to go for plays here. And the reason I ended up keeping my S is that I can still use this spot as a threat. Like, I could still maybe score points here to maintain my smaller deficit, basically. Because even if I do hit the play of Jubilate or Jubilant, if we count that up, if it's a natural play, it's 132 points. So that is a lot, but is it 100? Did I do the math right? 10, 13, 17, 90, 133. Wait. $153. Do I know how to count? Okay, so let's put in JQY. To go for stuff like Sibilant and Sibilants. I mean, this also goes for nobilities, I guess. If I draw IE blank. nobility. And I could also hit nobility with the Y. So I could exchange JQS as well. So there are a ton of really cool plays here to go for nobility, but that one requires me to draw a blank. There's no real O's left. Oh, nobilities is a 10. Okay, never mind. But yeah, crazy position where basically it would seem like the best thing to do is to exchange your S and spend the rest of the game fishing for Jubilant. What I was most worried about is that it was a stupid worry, but I was worried that Andy would draw my S if I exchanged it and not worry about the dozer's spot anymore and address the threat here. But anyways, I ended up exchanging JQY, which is probably not correct. Sorry, QYN, which is probably not correct. And the next turn I was like, wait, why did I get rid of my N? Like, I should be going for Jubilant. The likeliest letter on Andy's rack here after his play of B is another E. If you just think about this play and what you might keep with it, it's the last E. So going for Jubilate is a lot less likely seeming than going for Jubilant. So yeah, yeah, this is a problem. I just spaced out and fished off my end when I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I exchanged QYN, and here Andy plays Giver for 13. Yeah, interesting, Chalsonics, yeah. It's true. So he plays Giver to block the dozer spot, which he thinks I'm going for because, of course, that's a huge spot. Which tells me he didn't have the S because he would have played Vise. But now there's a 50% chance he's drawn the S. And I draw the blank in this position. I'm like, wow, this is actually possible. And if I catch Andy with the Q, my triple might score enough. So in this position, now that this threat is gone, I felt like I needed to create a second big threat to, again, divert Andy away from this triple spot. And now I can hit the N for Jubilant, and I can hit the U for Jubilant, and of course the E is gone, the E that for some reason I thought I could draw for Jubilate, which just demonstrates if I had kept my N and gotten rid of my S, I would have this rack, and I'd have Jubilant right away. So I felt really, really stupid here. Oops. That I had made the wrong exchange. But J2R. So the idea of J2R is great. You're creating a new threat. You're going for the U for Jubilates, which is now a triple and a bingo because I have the S. But I think even better is the play I made of ARS for 5. And honestly, maybe not, because there's a lot of psychology going on here. M10 as. Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's the same idea. Although it's, I guess, harder to imagine a high-scoring bingo here because the double underscore is far away. I don't know. I mean, everything looks weird. That's the thing. The psychology here is incredible. It's like if I'm playing off my S, this looks absolutely insane, especially if he's drawn the S. If he hasn't drawn the S, this looks okay. But I knew he didn't have the S. I know there's a 50% chance that he might think I have the other S. Once you play the S, column M scores more. Huh? Column M? What are you saying, Jelmokos? I did consider playing this here, but this doesn't create the threat. So I felt like here I really needed to create something that he would try to block and hit my fish for jubilant or jubilate. And now I'm like, where's my N? Why did I get rid of my N? I was really upset. But yeah, playing something like R's or as looks like what I have to do here. Of course, with just fishing off the A, I can draw a U and just win, probably. But yeah, it's kind of an insane position. But my goal is to divert Andy as much as possible away from my actual goal, my actual plan, and make him address other threats he might see in the position. But yeah, I could play as for 7. It really, I think, all depends on what Andy is like thinking. If Andy is thinking or seeing some high scoring bingo on the O column that he has to address, that's great. But if he isn't, I don't know. I feel like this is the play. I feel like playing AS here is the play. Why I didn't play it, I feel like I saw it. I guess I felt like it was giving him too many points back. Like if he had, no, he had the Q maybe, like Qua. I felt like he might have had the Q with Giver, or the U or the Q, and that giving him maybe big Q spots. I don't know. There's a lot going on in this position. The engine doesn't really understand what's going on. I think we understand what's happening more than the engine. But yeah, the problem with, I mean, any play is that, of course, I can score 144 points, but that might not be enough. I'm down 121. Sob from 9A. Ooh. Ooh, that's really interesting, Bess. Bess coming up with the idea of going for jubilates still by playing the S, by already placing the S here. And that might just like, but no, this sort of play is so weird, off the beaten path, that opponent will probably just play here. But it's a really cool idea. I mean, but if they have QI, they just play QI, right? QIS. That's the issue. So you're giving them plays that they would just make anyway without thinking. But I think maybe as the reason I didn't play that is because I thought Andy already had the U or the Q. I was going for the N that I just exchanged, that I knew was in the bag 50% of the time, so that I was redrawing 25% of the time for my triple. And that if you had the Q, I feel like it's harder to score after ARS. It's a bit more awkward. He might even play something like FARS, which is not a word. But after AS, he could have stuff like Qua or Aqua that really hurt. I don't know. But I didn't really have much time to calculate. everything. I was just hoping it would work. Yeah, exactly. Chalcedonics mimicking what I'm saying about Saab. Yeah, and I saw that it was putting me at like I was doing some calculations on the side of my score sheet. Doesn't mean anything, but in context, it was basically like I can definitely lose with my triple triple now. But I was committed to the cause. What should I say? Going straight for the triple triple now. I mean, I did that last turn. So yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting. So here, Andy played Fawn without much thought, emptying the bag. And my draw to JALT blank was Y. So, unfortunately, this means that I no longer have a high scoring J triple triple. And even less fortunately, Andy has 2 outplays with his 5 unseen letters of quasi and QUAIS. Which, I mean, what am I going to do? Block those? So the best endgame play would block those, or it would be Lability. Yeah, because it's so many points. But just loses by a whole lot. After Lability and oh yeah, it just wants to the engine is just has horrible intentions. Just playing this would win the game by 108 points. But if you play ETA to block the J spot, and then you play and I have to keep passing, you play QI, and then you play your S for 17, you win by 120. But yeah, so the best play is to triple triple and then get J stuck. But I decided to phony because let's say this play doesn't get challenged. Andy just goes out and wins by 31 points. So to me, this play was a spread saver. This play could not be challenged by anyone in their right mind unless they had somehow very recently checked that this was not a word. Because jubile is a word, jubilant, jubilate, all these jubal words. And yeah, to me, it was just like, okay, well, I'm losing this game, but at least I won't lose by a shit ton. And so I played Jubility. Let's bring this back. Hi, Chess Bunzo. And Andy, without hesitation, challenges. And when he challenged, I looked at him like, are you crazy? Because, of course, I didn't think this was a word. I didn't think this was a word, but I wasn't sure. And I'm pretty sure I would let this go. And I'm pretty sure if I asked everybody else in the division, pretty much everybody else would even say that they would let it go. Like, even if with their pride involved, knowing it's not a word would say, I probably would have let that go. But not Andy. Andy challenged. And again, I am not putting the play in properly. Because I still can't believe that he did this. He challenged and went out with his 47-point outplay to win the game by 232 points instead of winning by 31 points. And I was just completely and utterly dismayed. I could not believe that this had just happened. Part of me was just like, what an idiot. That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't think Andy is an idiot. I think Andy's a brilliant kid. But I was just like, how could he do this? He must not have realized that he was winning the game. He must not have done the math. And then another part of me was just like, what a Chad. What an unbelievable player to make this call. Like, what cojones? What guts in this guy? I can't believe it. But I was just completely beside myself. And so after the game, I was like, why did you challenge that? Like, you're going to win the game if you let it go. Were you sure it wasn't a word? And when he challenged, by the way, in the game, he was like, well, if that's a word, you deserve to win. That's what he said before we walked up to the challenge computer. And so he mimicked that thought at the end of the game, and he was like, yeah, like, if you fished for that and hit that, you deserve to win the game. And I'd want to challenge words that I'm not sure of and be confident, even though I had no idea, because spread is important. So this made perfect sense. Like, when I think about it now, like, the difference between winning by 31 and 232 is 200 spread points. Sorry, I know how to do math. So him thinking it's early in the tournament, I want to rack up my point differential to put myself in a better position, makes perfect sense. But it's just such an unheard of thing in Scrabble to not take a sure win in these sorts of positions when it would cost you the game to be wrong. And so I could not believe it. I felt like I had just completely like misjudged Andy, and that he was just the next best thing, the next biggest thing. And it turns out after this game, Andy was doing formidably in the tournament. He was playing extremely well, it seemed. And he was playing on the live boards, and yeah, he was just in the top echelon after this huge win over me, and I'm sure it brought him confidence. Unfortunately, he had a bad second half of the tournament, but he was like in first place for a decent amount of time. Well, no, he played QUAIS, which can't be phony, right? But anyways, I was just, I was like, after this game, after trying to outplay Andy so hard with Glamored and then Jubility, I was just like, who am I? Like, what am I trying to do here? I guess I'm not as good as I think I am. And I guess people don't think I'm that good because they won't even give me the benefit of the doubt on a word like jubility. So it really humbled me, I guess. But yeah, horrible, completely insane that this happened this game. I had many opportunities this game to improve. This was a mistake. This was obviously a mistake, but I thought this was okay. I thought this was a decent gambit. This might have been okay. This might have been okay. This was probably not okay. And yeah, everything else was just like trying to win from a very, very bad position. And I ended up losing by 232. So that's the game. It's a whole mouthful. Hope you enjoyed. And that is how I lost my third game of nationals and potentially started a terrible descent into the pits of bad performance. Or maybe I got over the loss and just played each move at a time. If you know me, you probably know what actually happened. But yeah, that's that.